Hello, welcome to BBC World News. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has joined calls for an independent inquiry into an airstrike by the Saudi-led coalition in Yemen, which has killed 29 children. Another 30 were wounded. The children were in a school bus which was hit in a rebel-held area. A spokesman for the Saudi coalition defended the attack, saying there were rebel Houthi combatants in the bus. Our chief international correspondent Lise Doucet has this report. Some of the images you may find distressing.
School bags on their backs, shock in their eyes. Children who'd been heading for a day out. A Yemeni child's day ends like this all too often. This was the school bus in Sada, a rebel-controlled town. But the Saudi-led coalition says it targeted missile launchers, taking aim at Saudi cities, accusing the Houthis of using children as human shields. I asked the UN's envoy, what if this war doesn't stop?
Collapse and massive humanitarian suffering.
Yemen is already the world's worst humanitarian crisis. More of its people rely on food aid like this than anywhere else in the world. Millions on the verge of starving. Mr. Griffiths believes all sides are now ready for a political solution.
My job is to provide the opportunity for the people of Yemen to sit down and talk peace. That's what we're here for, and we're here to do it in a way that's consistent with Security Council resolutions, which include the requirement for disarmament and withdrawal of forces.
Both sides say they're ready to attend talks in Geneva next month. The first in 2 years, after 2 failed rounds. If they keep failing, Yemen itself will fail. Lise Doucet, BBC News.
Well, earlier I spoke to Kevin Watkins. He's Chief Executive Officer of the charity Save the Children. He said the airstrike on the bus could potentially be considered a war crime.
Our teams have really confirmed what we've received, the information that we've received from the International Committee of the Red Cross, that at least 29 children on that bus were killed. In total, 50 civilians have been killed. There have been dozens of serious injuries. This has all of the hallmarks of a possible war crime. And that is why it's quite right that the UN Secretary-General has demanded an independent investigation. The Saudi-led coalition has shown over and over again that it is failing to respect the basic rules of humanitarian law.
But are you saying that this bus was deliberately targeted, or was it a terrible error, mistake?
Well, it's certainly a terrible tragedy. I mean, the images that everybody has now seen are absolutely heartbreaking, and I think any of us who's a parent will understand the trauma that so many people in Saudi Arabia, in Yemen, are going through today. The reason we need the investigation is to determine whether or not due attention was paid to the protection of those children in the targeting of whatever was being targeted. Now, I don't know the answer to that question, but if we don't have an investigation, we won't find out.
Could they have been human shields?
We need an investigation to find out precisely what the Saudi-led coalition knew, who took the decision to launch the missile that destroyed that bus, and we need the individuals named, and we need them held to account. This is what international law is for.
But of course this involves other nations as well who are helping the Saudis with the military campaign in Yemen, including the UK.
Well, I think part of the problem that we've had throughout this period since 2015, when the bombing campaign escalated, is that countries like the United Kingdom and the United States have consistently failed to call out Saudi Arabia on these appalling acts and this failure to protect children. Now, what the UK needs to do now is to unequivocally condemn the act, to demand an investigation and support the UN Secretary-General, and I think to undertake investigations in the UK to determine whether any of those responsible hold property in the UK, visit the UK, because if they are, they need to be held to proper judicial account in this country.